I do not agree, or I would not say, because it was not a question of whether you should or should not. I would not recommend, do not recommend, would not recommend, nah. I do not recommend you come to Canada broke. In 2022 and beyond, do not come to Canada broke. You're probably not in Canada, duh, so you wouldn't have seen the news. Gas prices, food prices in Canada have increased by more than 15% in just between 2021 to 2022. And I can broad brush it. Food, did I say food? Food, gas prices have increased more than 15% in the last year alone, and I know that because of an assignment I've been doing and a project I'm currently working on. Canada is expensive. When I tell you Canada is expensive, Canada is expensive. But I always like to say Jamaica dearer still. True. Right? But Canada is expensive. If you're someone who travels to the US and you know about going to the US, and you come to Canada, you might be a bit shocked because things here are more expensive than the US. Let that rub in. So do not come here broke. If you watch my previous video that I did about getting a job in Canada, it took me a little while before I was able to get a job in Canada. If I had come to Canada broke, I probably would be on the streets by now, and I don't want that for any of you. You see, if you're coming to Canada, let's put the disclaimers here. If you're coming to Canada and you do not have family that you can stay with in the beginning, or friends, the broke life ain't for you. If you're coming here and you're going to be on your own, maybe with your spouse, and you're going to look a job, don't come here broke. I'm going to give you some recommendations at the end of the video, what you can do to not come here broke, by the way, right? If you're coming to Canada and you're planning on looking a job when you get here, you do not have a job as yet, do not come here broke. If you're coming to Canada and your school fee is not paid in full, do not come here broke. So you can come here broke if you have family or friends who are going to support you. Fine, no matter how bad things might get, your family not just going to turn their backs on you for the most part. I think, I would like to believe, for the most part. I've heard of some bad stories still, but if you have family and friends, fine. You want to push it through, you want to struggle there, take the plunge. Nothing is wrong with that. If you're coming here and you're going to pay rent by yourself, no. If your school fee is paid in full, then I would say maybe you can take the plunge, because all you need to worry about now is your rent and your bills, and hopefully cross your dots and your T's that you get a job. Let me insert this here. I always encourage people who are coming to Canada and are so worried about so many factors: money, getting a job, the school fee, the schoolwork. You see, the things that you know in life, the risks that you know, those are actually not risks. Once you know of it, or you know of the possible outcome, it's no longer a risk. The risks are the things that you do not know. And for a fact, if you're coming here, you know all these risks that, hey, you probably don't get a job, so you probably won't be able to pay your rent. That's not the risk. The risk is the things that you do not know what will happen when you get here. So, okay, you do not get a job, but the thing is, how long? But if you don't get a job for 6 months, don't come to Canada broke. Yes. No lies though. No for we when we are come here. You know, we sure, I'm generalizing. Right? No for when we are come here. We sure immigration this big lump sum of money, say yeah, we have it. But you know in your heart, say, alright, maybe for the next 4 months really is what you're going to earn, you're really going to take with you. Right? And when you reach here, you have a little money. You have a little money to cushion you. Right? I am a student. I meet up with other fellow students from the Caribbean. There's a group of us, right? And I've heard my fellow Jamaicans, we talk. And one thing I can tell you that they say, and I'm sure they're not going to be mad at me for sharing this, but them say, Kayon, me nah lie, it rough out here, it rough, it grimy, it rough. I'm telling you. Why is it rough? So you see, we come here and we tell you guys, oh, you will get a part-time job. The thing is, like I said, you probably do not know when you'll get a job, but say, hey, fine, you get a job, right? The job they call them, or what we call them, survival jobs. They'll make you better in the end. That's for another day. See, these survival jobs, they can be hard. When you're first coming, you're so excited until you settle in and you start living this life. You see, all that excitement, all that anxiety, it quickly goes away. So when you're doing this survival job, and imagine you have no money, more than just the little survival job. You have school is a lot of work, right? That pressure on you, you have to keep going to this job that you don't like because you're not no money, right? And then you have to smile to the world like it's all nice and dandy, plus school pressure. I do not wish that on my enemies. That is hard. That is hard. Let me give you an example. I said to you already, when I just came here, it was so hard for me to get a job. It didn't just drop in my lap. It didn't just fell in my lap. It didn't, right? But for me personally, I didn't come to Canada broke. And I'm doing a survival job. I'm using this job to pay my school fee because the money I take to Canada with me, I don't plan on spending it on my school fee right now. You know what I mean? But imagine if I didn't have any money at all and I have to go. I can't imagine. I don't want that for you. So don't come here broke and then having to do all these things. Why? At the same time, I have to say, to each his own. If you can manage it, do it. If you can. But if there's a doubt in your mind that maybe you can hold off and try again, try again. I've met people here that tell me, hey, I saved up for this 2 years in advance and it still wasn't enough, but they were better off for doing that. So if you just need to take the time out, if it's really a dream and something that you really want, you'll make the ends meet. You'll do the necessary work before getting here. Don't come here broke. See how many times I'm stressing it? Do not come here broke. If you're already here though and you came here broke and you're in the situation, all I can tell you now, I'll keep you in my prayers. All the best to you, and I hope you get something soon, or I hope things turn around for you. Don't come here broke. See, the bills in Canada, they don't stop coming. Like, you come here and then, oh, you hear, oh, I need to pay for insurance. Oh, and you want to know something else too? With medical insurance, that's just the plain medical insurance. It doesn't cover eye doctor, we call them opticians. It doesn't cover that. It doesn't cover, what's the other one called? Dentist. So if you have more problem, while you're here in a Kuwait, you have to get a job that gives additional health benefits. And your survival job more than likely sometimes doesn't. But there are some that do, by the way. Right? So, or up to a certain amount. But those things, you're kinda dark if you're coming here broke. Everybody we know here have a story. Some of we might never come broke, but some of we, the stories, it take a long while to get a decent job. Some of we, the story is we were depressed because the loneliness. Everybody have a story. Just don't let your story be that you were so flat out broke. And everybody have good friends who ever send them money. I help them out. And everybody have it. If you have a good friend who will help you out, lucky you. But if you know you do not have it, don't come here broke. You're going to see people going out. You're going to see people taking trips. You're going to see people doing things. I know people here came here broke. And they had to stop, shut down their Instagram and thing because it was getting a bit depressing for them. Seeing people enjoying themselves started affecting them because they can't even, sometimes they have to go without. Things that you never thought would affect you will affect you. Don't come here broke. I'm not, I encourage people to take the journey and take the plunge. But this is somewhere where I have to put down my foot and I have to tell you where I stand on this, because even though I'm motivating you to say it will not be easy, because it's not. I didn't come here broke and it ain't easy for me. It ain't easy. Right? But this is something I have to tell you. The truth is, plan your thing properly. The best way you know how. Have faith, because some things you won't have all together, but have faith and let God do the rest. But when they tell you to have a certain amount of funds, when the government of Canada tell you to have a certain amount of funds, it's a reason they tell you to have a certain amount of funds. It's not for pretty showing, because the place, Canada is seasonal, things happen for different time. You have school, they'll tell you that, hey, you need to get this book, you need to get this calculator, just some random things. And some of these lectures, they don't care that you're studying, working a part-time job and you don't have it. They don't care, right? You'll have to have that money. You'll have to pay your phone bills. There's so many things. I maybe should do a video on cost of living as a student, but when I say bills, it's bills and more bills. You have to buy bus pass. You have to pay, well, for some person's internet bill, or if it's included in the rent, it depends. But there are so many bills, and if it's only you, one coming, single person, plan it out properly. So if you say you're making $1,000 every 2 weeks, know your bills, know if your rent going to be $500 for the month, know your phone bill, have an idea of these things, and make sure that at the end of it, you have at least $100 or $200 for emergency purposes where you can save just in case if you're coming broke. And if you're coming with children, I don't know about you, but you know, when you or me can go hungry for one night, kids, you don't want to put your kids through that. You don't want to have to cook and give your kids food and you just barely taste it because you don't have it. Hopefully it doesn't get there, because there are food shelters here. So if you haven't seen that video, I did a video about that. There are food shelters here, so there's probably a way out. But when I was watching YouTube before and I see other YouTubers saying, oh, Canada is expensive, I used to be like, Jamaica more expensive. Well, that can be true to some extent. Canada is expensive for real. I know what they are talking. It's like a lot of expenses that you did not plan for, or you did not expect. It just has a lot of expenses. Like, yeah, it does. So plan your thing properly. I wish you all the best on your journey. Everybody's story is different. If you're willing to take that plunge, know your risks, know what you're willing to take, and be prepared. Because students in my class be like, I hear them talk about it all the time. Like, they say, oh, I used to work in the bank back in my own country in the Philippines, or I used to be an engineer, or I used to be this and I used to be that. I realize most, if not all of the students I do school with used to have some great jobs, and they came on this journey. And yet one of the complaints they always say is, oh, I hate my job, I have to be doing this type of job now, but it's the sacrifice I am making, it won't be forever. And I understand that I have to do it, but I know my why. It's a sacrifice I'm making. But what I'm saying is, you see, some of them, or some of us, let's say like that, some of us who are doing these jobs, they don't have a backup plan, they don't have any other way out, and that can be very scary. I don't know about you, but it can be very scary. So plan properly, know your why, because you're going to need your why when days get rough and you feel like, no, I'm not going. The next day when I don't want to go, I don't want to go, no. But yeah, you're going to have to know your why, and it can't just be for money. If it was just for money for me, I would have just stayed in Jamaica. So don't come here broke, and then you have to be working for the next 2 years or a year. Like, if you look in my case, University Canada West, you do not just get the summer vacation because it's summer, right? No, those little policies. You have to do 3 semesters back to back before you can work. So that means you have to have at least 3 school fees. That's more than a year. School fee up front for the beginning. You don't want to come here broke and then you're working and you have bills to pay and you can't put the money on the school fee. I'm just saying, don't come here broke. Please, guys, do not. But before I continue, let me just give you ways or things that you can do if you don't have any money but you want to do this dream, right? Because I'm very practical. You don't have any money, but you say, Kayon, I want to come to Canada. I don't see the money, but I want to come to Canada. If you're in this situation, you can take a loan. Yes, you can get an educational loan to come to Canada. But you have to know how you're going to pay it back. And then you're probably saying, but I never had the money in the first place, so how am I going to pay it back? Well, Canada. If you're going to take a loan, if you don't have the money up front and you're going to take a loan and you have a spouse or a partner, everybody has someone, and you have a spouse or a partner, you can prove, once you can prove to IRCC that your spouse or your partner is working enough funds and in a good job, you can use them to say they will be paying for this loan while you are studying. A loan. If you ever go on IRCC website, you can see that they say they accept loans for proof of funds. Yes. If you have someone, maybe your mother, maybe your spouse, maybe someone, you can get a loan to do your studies in Canada. That's one way of coming here and not coming here broke. And then if things are working out for you, and then okay, you see where you can make it work, then you can get your spouse an open work permit to come up. And if you do say your spouse is going to finance this loan while you are studying, you do not have to worry if IRCC will give them an open work permit when you do apply. They will. Because Canada is big on family unification. So if he can probably get some time off from his permanent job and you look a job in Canada, and then once that work out, you make the transition. That's one way of coming here and not coming here broke. And it's a real practical way. I hope you got that. The other practical way that you don't want to hear me say, but I'm going to say it, save your money. Create a saving plan and save the money you need, if it's at least 1 year tuition. People are doing like using money up front and don't even have a year tuition. That's how bad for some people it is. So if it's even 1 year tuition and some amount of money for living expenses, have it up front. Because when you get here, wherever you are renting, you're going to have to pay 1 month security deposit plus the rent. Some places charge 1 month security deposit, but depending on where you are, in British Columbia it's like a percentage, not the entire amount. So you want to know these things. Save the money. Nothing is wrong with waiting and saving. The world now runway. Nothing now runway. Your time will come, but you have to plan. Like I said, when I thought about coming to Canada, it took me a year before coming. You know what I mean? Save up the money. Funny thing. One last thing, if you don't have it, especially if you're coming as a single person and you don't have a spouse, even if you are, you probably don't want to hear me say this, but I'm going to say it. Most of you coming here, you're coming here for permanent residence at the end of the day. Choose a program that is not as expensive. There are places in Canada that has affordable school fees, right? And if you can get in a school like that, choose a program and go there. Sacrifice again. It probably will be cold, but the price you're willing to pay. Sacrifice. Choose something that is in your budget or that's more affordable. Stop trying to say, okay, I want to do an MBA, or hey, I want to do my masters here. Or there are some masters in Saskatchewan that are very affordable, by the way, though, right? Do something that's within your budget. Nothing is wrong with that. Look at me, for example. You think when I was coming here I didn't want to do a master's in engineering? You watch my videos, you see me, you see that I am a girl that loves to go for what I want, and I want the best. Don't miss that, right? You think I didn't want to do a master's in engineering? You think I really wanted to do an MBA? Oh my God. You think I really wanted to do an MBA? No. But I went with an MBA because that my pocket can afford. I could not afford the Masters in Engineering. I couldn't. Masters in Engineering as an international student in Canada without scholarships, you were looking at money like about 30,000-40,000 per year. Where may I get that from? Huh? Where am I getting that from? I did not have that. Compared to an MBA program, some MBA programs were very expensive too. Compared to the one that University of Canada always had, I couldn't afford a 40,000 a year. So you know what I say? Hey, since PR is the end goal, hopefully, right? Yeah, I'm like, okay, I can do an MBA. No, when I'm finished, I go back to school for what I want. When you're a permanent resident of Canada, school fee for masters in engineering is like 6,000, 4,000, 3,000. you name it. So why on earth would I pay 40,000 now? Best believe, like I said this before on my channel, guys. I was going to do a postgraduate certificate at KPU because it was so cheap. It was similar price to the MBA because I got a discount on the MBA to a scholarship on the MBA. But it was similar price, and it was when I was comparing the price of the MBA to KPU. I'm like, easy, no brainer. It's easier to do the MBA rather than a postgraduate certificate. But yeah, know your pocket and stick to it. Nothing not wrong with that. That's how I end up here. I know my pocket. So I was gonna do that postgraduate certificate. It's just that this opportunity of the MBA came up, and I'm like, might as well do the MBA. I never planned on doing an MBA. I really planned on doing an electrical engineering degree, master's. But the cheap schools in Saskatchewan, I don't like cold. So I knew where I draw my line. Plus Saskatchewan, it wasn't exactly the engineering I wanted to do. So it was going to be a compromise again. I said, you know what? Business, having a background in business and management would be a great asset to my engineering career. And then in the end, when I go back, if I want to do engineering, I can do it. So know what you want to do, know your budget. But yeah, don't come here broke. Please do not. Puss and dog not have the same luck. Not because it worked for me or Jane is going to work for you. And I've said this a lot in my videos. Yeah. So don't be discouraged. If you're watching this and you really don't have any money, or you don't have it, and you're probably thinking, try to find out a way you could get the loan. Maybe reach out to me, ask me, pick my brain to see if I know of any other ways that I maybe don't want to say on camera. I'm joking. But yeah, there are other ways. Think about your options, plan properly, and I wish you all the best. Do not give up your Canadian dream or your US dream. Don't give it up. Plan properly. Think your way out. Also, I like to encourage persons who are not married or even if you do have kids, to think about going to the US. School fees in the US tend to be more affordable than Canada. A lot of other no-name schools, you know what I mean? This thing that they sell, oh, school, when you write in your letter of explanation and people say, oh, school in Canada is so much cheaper. Some, but you can find a lot in the US that cheap. So think about your other options. There's not only Canada and the US. Open your box. I was going to say there's Ukraine. There are other places, you know what I mean? There are other places in Europe. There are some places when I was watching videos I realized that you can get schooling free. Yes. So do your research. And eventually, you know, Canada always having express entry. After being educated to a certain level, you can always come across. All the best to you on your journey. I wish you nothing but the best, but I'm just going to tell you the truth. Do not come here broke. It rough out there, it's not easy. If you made it to the end, please hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel so you can see more. All the best to you on your journey. Mwah. Oh, by the way, guys, get your earrings from my friend Naughty K. Yeah, get your earrings from my friend Naughty K. I'm going to link her page, Instagram page. They're so beautiful. Yeah, I'm shining, I'm glowing because of them. Yeah. Check out Naughty K's page.